Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Week 5 recap. I'm very excited to discuss last week's shenanigans. Does anybody have anything to say to start us out here? No? Okay. So this week we will have back hopefully we'll have back the phone in if anyone is interested. We'll let you know when we get closer to that time. So now I'm gonna hand it off over here to Brian. Brian, take it away.
Thank you, Beagle. Yeah, we had a very interesting week last week. So just to start us off, I'm gonna go with the matchup between Never Give You Up Rickrolled versus Leave Britney Alone, which was a whopping 188-point differential. Beagle, what would you like to say about your victory over Never Give You Up Rickrolled?
Yeah, well, having obviously the most points scored by a team in the league for the week does usually help your odds to win out that matchup.
True.
So yeah, I mean that really carried us into the win. Didn't
Very
have
insightful.
a whole lot of moves happening, but when you're playing one of the league's bottoms for the last couple weeks, it's usually not too tough to cross that hurdle. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Just to move
wonderful
on,
insight.
moving on to the next one, we'll be looking at one of the league's tops. Why is this a league? Per the guy who works at KFC. Right back to you, Brian.
Oh. Well, let's go into
What?
Aurora's own Troy Bolton versus It's a Me a Mario, which had a 105-point differential. With Aurora's own really pulling through the win here. We could see that they had two big top players here, Alicia Gray and the other one that also scored 106 points. So I feel like that really helped them pull through on that one. Now moving on to, we're gonna go basket no balls versus team I Miss Mayberry.
Actually, I think Chase was trying to give some input there.
Oh, sorry. Over to you, Chase.
I guess the spotlight's just
very
a little too
insightful,
big.
Chase. Very insightful. Yes.
Yeah. All right, chickened out. It's okay. Maybe next time. Maybe we'll have Chase phone in next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Team Basket No Balls versus Team I Miss Mayberry had this was closer than our other matchups here in the league, but still a pretty big lead of a 89-point differential. Mike, how do you feel about your loss?
My players are not performing very well. Back to you, Brian.
Maybe problems with coaching on this one.
Excellent insight there. Excellent, Mike.
Thank you.
So moving on to Team Why Is This a League versus Team Hidden Valley Ranch, which is myself. Who was a 40-point differential here. A little bit of wiggle room, but not much. Honestly, I was getting a little nervous on this one because I had missed a day and forgotten to put playing players off the bench. So I was definitely sweating a little bit there, but I'm happy to have pulled off the win on that one. Now, I wanted to save my favorite one here for last, which was This Is George versus the Vanderscoots. Now, this was probably the biggest lead that we will see this season, which was a 316-point differential.
Jeez.
Tommy, what would you like to say about that?
Sometimes you need a win, and this was one of those times where I actually didn't need a win here, already leading the league. So I just decided to say, screw it, and let's just beat George as badly as possible here. And that's what I did.
Okay. Well, Thank you for that.
You betcha.
I was really rooting for This Is George on this one. I thought it was going to be a lot closer than it
Yeah.
was, but
Is that why you picked him?
no, I didn't.
Oh yeah,
I
that's right.
believe
Oh,
that
that's right.
who was it that
Nobody picked them.
that's
That's right.
unfortunate.
Michael actually did pick Hidden
No,
Valley
but
Ranch here, so it was close, but
yeah,
didn't end up getting that win there.
true. All right, well, back to you, Beagle.
Yup.
Okay.
Sorry about
well, it
that.
appears-
Sorry,
Okay.
we're having some technical difficulties over here. Now we're going to move on to our next segment, which of course is this week's standings. Right now in the East, we have the Vanderscoots still sitting at that undefeated, now 4-0, with a 98% playoff chance here. So there's virtually no way he misses the playoffs here, according to ESPN. Next up in second place, now undisputed, is Aurora's own Troy Boltons, sitting at 3-1 with an 87% playoff percentage. Sorry about that. Next up, Tommy, can you turn your camera back on? You're screwing up the cameras. Next up, we have It's a Me Mario and Hidden Valley Ranch tied for third place, sitting at 2-2, respectively. And of course, in fourth place in the East, we have This Is George, sitting at 0-4. No surprise there. Already slim to no chance of making the playoffs. Next up, we have over in the West, we have a 4-0 team Leave Brittany Alone, also still undefeated, which will make for an interesting matchup this week that Michael will talk about more later on here, of the two undefeated teams playing against each other. So unless there's a tie, we will be seeing one of those two teams leaving the tops of their standings. So we'll see. Possibly. Next up, second
both
place.
might stay in first place, to be honest. But
yes. The
In
worst
fact,
that could
both
happen
will
is,
stay in first place.
yes,
Yeah.
the worst that could happen is a two-way tie in the East between the Vanderscoots and Aurora's own if there was a Vander loss. Next up, in second place in the West, we have Team I Miss Mabry, sitting at 2-2. And then to finish out the West, we have a three-way tie for third place. All teams sitting at 1-3 currently, that being Basket No Balls, Why Is This a League, and Never Give You Up, Rick Rolled. Thank you. So next up, we're going to have Tommy. Tommy, take it away.
Sure. So this is making moves with Tommy here. And what we're going to be analyzing this week is going to be the recent trade. It actually happened last Thursday night between Aurora's own Troy Bolton and Team I Miss Mayberry. And what we saw here was, once again, a guard for forward swap for Aurora's own Troy Bolton, sending away this time Kayla McBride, who's arguably at the time her fourth, possibly third best guard, for Maisha Hines Allen. Now, Hines Allen, up to this point, or up to that point, had only scored 38 points on the year, which is not good, seeing how Kayla McBride had 35 points in a single game on June 3rd. So it looked like it was going to be a bitter defeat, very lopsided trade early on when taking the first looks here. But if you look at the underlying numbers here, Maisha is coming off of a foot injury. So what we can see is a steady increase in minutes. And if those continue to climb, once we get into those 30s and see some real playing time, we could see a very big increase in production from Hines Allen's. And that could make this trade come back to be a little bit closer. I do think Team I Miss Mayberry does win this in the end. but it will not be as big of a blowout as it looks like right now. Back to you, Beagle.
Perfect. Thanks, Tommy. Next up, we're going to pass it over to Mike with our predictions. Go ahead, Mike.
Alright, so the records as they stand currently, Matt's in first place. His record is 18-2. I think I'm in second place at 13-2. Then there's Tommy, who's 16-4, and Brian is in last, 13-7. All right, so the first matchup we're going to cover is the Vanderscoots versus Team Brittany. Leave Brittany alone, which should be a pretty good matchup since they're both undefeated so far. Tommy, who do you have this week?
Yeah, so what we have here is a classic case of the best team versus the best team in the league, and one of these teams is going to come out with a loss, maybe a tie, but that is really hard to do in a points league. So I am going to end up taking the Vanderscoots. They've already come up against a team that was also undefeated and won that matchup, so they have that experience to power them forward. Overall, I think it's going to be close, but give me the Vanderscoots.
Brian, who do you got?
Yeah, so I agree that this is going to be quite the close game. But ultimately, I'm going to have to pick the Vanderscoots. My reasoning for this is because, I mean, as we've seen, both teams definitely have the potential to put up some big points in this one. And I don't know. It's going to come down to like the players. It's going to come down to what their players do, how they score, and I don't know any of these players. So it was really a dice roll on this one, and I ended up with the Vanderscoots.
I'm gonna have to agree with both of you guys. I think it definitely will come down to the wire. It's gonna be a close week this week, but I'm gonna have to give it to the Vanderscoots. Matt, who you got?
Yeah, so I don't mean to sound like a broken record once again, week in, week out, but it's really gonna come down to the wire, and ultimately, similar to my panel, I'm going to go a completely opposite direction. It is going to be Team Leave Brittany Alone. The Vanderscoots currently have I Wanna Suck You out till potentially having back on Friday and Saturday, but more than likely having your second or third leading scorer on your IR is never a good thing, and coming off a week where the Vanderscoots put up 4 less points than Team Leave Brittany Alone, I think that Team Leave Brittany Alone can make the upset and pull this one off. Back to you, Mike.
Next matchup is Hidden Valley Ranch versus
It's a me, Mario.
It's a me, Mario. Thank you. Tommy, who do you got?
So what we have here is the classic case of a bottle of ranch versus Mario. And what we can see is that it's going to be a close matchup. As Matt alluded to, he doesn't want to sound like a broken record, but after this week, he will have a broken record. And we will see in this particular case, It's a Me versus Hidden Valley Ranch. I got to go with Hidden Valley Ranch.
Brian, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to vote for myself on this one, Hidden Valley Ranch. And I think it's gonna be by a lot. But I think it'll really come down to is whether or not I remember to put in players when they are supposed to. I got them set, my lineup set for the first game. So I'm hoping for success here.
I like they said, I'm gonna have to agree. I don't think it's gonna be a very close match. I got Hidden Valley Ranch here. Matt, who do you got?
Yeah, so just like the rest of the panel here, I think after Team Mario starting off hot at 2-0, then falling to the Vanderscoots, and then eventually just last week, sorry about that, falling, who was it they played last week again? Falling to
That was
Aurora's own Troy Bolton.
Aurora's own. Yep.
Yeah, sorry about that. So after falling to Aurora's own Troy Bolton, after bringing them back to 500, I think this quick declining slope is going to continue. Hidden Valley Ranch coming above 500 and dropping formerly undefeated It's a Me Mario below 500. Thank you, Mike.
All right, next up we got Team I Miss Mayberry versus Team Why Is This a League? Tommy, who do you have here?
Yeah, so we have it comes down to Pete versus Marty here. We have the team with 2 first-round draft picks to the team with none first-round draft picks, and it seems like a very easy choice to go with the team that has 2, and that's why I'm going with the team that has 2. Team I Miss Mayberry is going to wipe the floor, seeing how they are paying a little bit of attention to this league, where Why Is This a League seems to be paying absolutely no attention.
Brian, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree that Team I Miss Mayberry is gonna pull off the win on this one because, as we've seen, Why Is This a League has had a strong start to the league, but has steadily been declining, and as in the words of Beagle here, will continue the downward slope.
To disagree on this one. I think it's going to be Why Is This a League? I think it's going to be a close matchup, but I'm going to have to give it to Why Is This a League? Matt, who you got?
Yeah, so like the majority of the panel here, I think that, like we said in the past, that lack of a first-round pick dropping to the free agency will continue to be a just detrimental move to this team. A team that has not seen any kind of success since week 1 before dropping that first-round pick. And Team I Miss Mayberry is on the up and coming. They are currently sitting in 3rd place in points for. There is a large gap there, but I think that, like Tommy and I were discussing on the side earlier today, that gap will be closing with that addition of another first-round pick here. Ultimately, I Miss Mayberry is going to pull off the win here.
We got the Aurora's own Troy Bolton versus who are they playing?
This is George.
This is George. Tommy, what do you got?
Now again, we have another matchup with This Is George, and following last week's conversation, I did get a chance to speak with George and asked him, "Hey, do you know how to set your lineup?" And it turns out he does know how to set his lineup. So I did ask him, "Why are you not setting your lineup?" And his reply to that was, "Well, it's just like every other time I play a fantasy sport." So, with that in mind, I believe George will continue the trend of not playing, and because of that, it should be another easy win for Aurora's own Troy Bolton.
Brian, what do you have?
Yeah, after hearing this new information, I kind of makes me want to switch my vote to This Is George, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Aurora's own Troy Bolton for I don't know why.
I'm gonna have to agree with those two. I think it's gonna be George's gonna go to 0-5. I gotta give it to Aurora's own Troy Bolton. Matt, who you got?
Yeah, so it really does come down to who is setting their lineup. Also, for any of our viewers out there, if you can buy stock in any of these teams, I think another team besides I Miss Mayberry would be Aurora's own Troy Bolton. Aurora's own Troy Bolton is currently sitting at 3-1, second out in the Eastern Division, and I think that trend will continue with another win here for Aurora's own Troy Bolton. Back to you, Mike.
Next up, we got Never Gonna Give You Up Rick Rolled versus basket, no balls. Tommy, who do you have?
So now here's one where we have a matchup of a 1-3 team playing another 1-3 team. Now it would be easy to go with the team that has more points currently, which is actually basket no balls, sitting with 1,734 points to 1,557 for Never Give You Up, Rick Rolled. Now, with that being said, if you look at the points from the last 3 weeks, discounting the first week, as that was a extended week, the point totals have all been within 20 to 30 points between these two teams. And with that being the case, the Never Gonna Give You Up Rickrolled is actually 1-2 in those matchups had they been playing all 3 weeks. And because of that, you would still think to go with basket no balls, but I think they're going to come back, and I'm going to give this one to Never Give You Up Rick Rolled.
Couldn't hear you there, Mike.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Brian, who do you have?
I'm gonna have to go with Never Give You Up Rickrolled. What Tommy said.
Okay. I'm going to have to disagree. I think I'm gonna win. I think it might be a close matchup, but I think I'm gonna win. Matt, what do you got?
So this one was interesting. I actually initially was leaning towards Team Basket No Balls, but I did actually have a discussion with Team Never Give You Up Rick Rolled, and actually sat down as an outside consultant with him today, and helped him make some roster moves and set his lineup. So there's been some free agency action out of Team Never Gonna Give You Up Rickrolled via my assistance, obviously. So there were a couple free agency pickups there, a couple of drops, a couple of moves to IR. So ultimately, I think just with how close with where his team was, where I think Never Gonna Give You Up Rickrolled could have beaten me if he started all of his players last week. So I think this is another team that's dangerous, that could be up and coming as long as he sticks with playing. So I'm giving this one to Never Gonna Give You Up, Rick Rolled. So this here
To you, Beagle.
Thank you. So this here is going to be our last segment. As always, we're finally back. If anyone would like to call in, we'll leave it to you. While we wait for call-ins, does anybody have any good jokes?
I have
a lot of
jokes.
dad jokes last week. They were awful.
Okay,
I
yeah,
got
Mike.
jokes.
Why don't you,
Sorry.
Mike? Someone? Why don't you give us since we just had Father's Day, Happy Father's Day again to all you fathers out there. Does anybody have any father jokes, any dad jokes for us?
I have orphan jokes, which are kind of like father's jokes if you
Why?
take away the father.
I got a father or dad joke. Why did the dad bring 2 pairs of socks to the golfing? Jesus.
What?
Why?
In case he got a hole in one.
There you go. That's it.
All right.
Couldn't
Thank you
get
for
it
that.
out. I'm sorry.
This is a good one.
That was some butchered delivery.
Yeah, I couldn't spit it out. I'm sorry. So we call Dad and see if he wants to call.
Let's do a couple more jokes here. What did the cheerleader serve for Father's Day breakfast? Cheerios.
Oh, that's a good one.
All right, here's another one. What has 4 wheels and flies?
A garbage truck.
A garbage truck.
Oh, yeah.
What do you call a moose with no name? Anonymous.
I kind of want to hear one of those orphan jokes you got, Tom.
All right,
Oh,
moving
I got
on. We're
one.
gonna give Tommy.
It's
we're
not
gonna
an
give,
orphan joke. I have a separate joke here. Yeah. So, do you know why? Why does Dr. Pepper come in a bottle?
Why?
Because his wife left him.
Okay, thank you. So we're getting a call here, actually.
Call from
Pete Degand.
To accept, press 1. To send a...
Hello, this is BBTV. We are getting a call here from Team I Miss Mabry owner Pete. Pete, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
We're pretty good over here. So Pete, do you want to talk about last week? How last week went for you, and you had so much success. Of course, beating out Team Basket No Balls by almost 100 points. Can you tell us why you had so much success?
Yeah. You know, I just was putting the right players in where they belong, and I was keeping the slackers on the bench.
Great. That's great to hear. And of course, this week you are playing against the team owner who released his first overall draft choice, and you ended up being the one picking them up out of free agency. How do you think this week's going to go for you?
I think I'm pretty confident in my team moving forward. I've made some bad choices, bad decisions, and that's on me. But I feel confident in my team moving forward that we can maybe run off a few wins in a row.
Well, I'm glad to hear. Like I said earlier, I think you're one of those teams out there that we should have on our watch list to potentially even take over that Western Division over Team Leave Brittany Alone, owned by yours truly. So, anything else you'd like to add?
Congratulate all the winners of last week, and good luck to everybody moving forward. And yeah, I hope I'm going to be one of those teams that everybody is going to look out for.
Perfect. Well, thanks again for calling in. This, of course, was team owner Pete of Team I Miss Mabry. Have a great night, and happy Father's Day again to you.
All right. Thank you, Matt. You have a good night as well.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that was team owner Pete of Team I Miss Mabry once again. Just great insight. He, as I have said and has been said multiple times, did pick up, of course, Jonquel Jones, who was drafted 8th overall by Why Is This a League, released back on May 26th, and picked up off of waivers 2 days later by Team I Miss Mabry. She is now sitting at 212 fantasy points, so just a fantastic free agency move from Team I Miss Mabry. Does anyone else have any jokes? We'll give it one more minute here. Might make 1 or 2 phone calls. Any other jokes?
What you got, Tommy? Oh, he's muted.
Matt,
You're
would you like me to
muted.
tell more jokes?
Yeah,
Oh, there you
sure.
go.
Tell more jokes while I get another phone call going.
Aha. Well, have I got one for you? Why don't oysters donate to charity?
Why?
Because they're shellfish.
Oh.
That was great. Thank you. All right, we're gonna make
What's-
a call. I don't think we'll get a response here, but we'll give it a shot.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Giving it a shot. If not, we may end up talking again to,
Please leave your message for 331.
Did not get a response there on the call. So we'll try one more.
Why is this a
here.
league owner?
Looks like
This is Marty.
Alright, Marty, you're once again talking to BBTV. We're just calling here to ask on some insight into last week's loss against Hidden Valley Ranch. Can you give us some insight into that?
Yeah, I didn't score enough points.
Alright. Fair enough. So this upcoming week you're facing against Team I Miss Mabry. We did just talk to Pete. He said he's hoping to continue on his roll, now sitting at 2-2. How do you think this week's gonna go for you two?
Well, so far not good.
We are.
I'm hoping to do better, but
yeah,
I don't like the way things are blowing up. I have a lot of players that are injured and going out and don't have any reason why they're out. They're just out. So it's really hard to watch and figure out what is going to happen when you don't know if everyone's going to play.
Right. So you do actually have Morgan Birch sitting in your IR. She did play back on the 18th, putting up 27 fantasy points, while having a currently out Jessica Shepard, who has not played since the 11th. Are you planning on making any moves there?
Probably. I was going to talk to George and find out what I should do.
That's never a good plan.
Okay.
Well, thank you for giving a call. Do you have any closing remarks here?
Go Bears.
Go Bears. That's right. You heard it here. Go Bears. Thank you again. Have a good night.
Okay.
Happy Father's Day.
Good night. Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Bye. Alright, so we're actually going to stall here for a couple minutes. We do have someone hopefully giving us a call pretty soon here, but we're gonna just stall for a minute. Tommy, take us away with more jokes.
Sure, Beagle. What I got for you today? Check this one out here. How do you make a tissue dance? You put a little boogie in it.
Oh, that's Why did the pony ask for a glass of water?
I moved it to the making moves page, and the timing lined up perfectly with his punchline lined up perfectly with the music drop where it pauses for a second.
Why did the pony ask for a glass of water?
Why is that?
Because
Why
it was
the
a
long
little.
face?
No, because it was a little
Get
horse.
to the other slide.
That ain't it. Is there anything worse than when it's raining cats and dogs? Yes. Hailing taxis.
My grief counselor died. He was so good, I don't even care.
Brian, you got any jokes?
How many apples can you grow on a tree?
No, not any good ones.
All of
Or
them.
appropriate ones.
Want to know how to make any salad into a Caesar salad? Stab it 23 times.
Oh my god!
What do you call a pile of cats? A meowton.
Oh! How do mice floss their teeth? With string cheese.
Why you gotta come in with just the worst jokes? Like, aha! On to the next one.
Humpty
What do
Dumpty.
you call
Sorry.
What do you call a car wash that won't wash cars anymore? Broken.
Oh. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Summer wasn't too bad either.
What did the tomato say to the other tomato during a race? Catch up.
Catch up. What's a pirate's favorite letter? Matt?
R. C.
You, damn it. You think it's R, but it's really the C.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and give one last call here real quick. If you give me just one
Knock,
second.
knock.
Who's there?
Who's there? Alzheimer's.
Oh my god!
Hello? Hello?
That's not how knock-knock jokes go.
Hey, everybody shut up. Hi,
Right.
is this team owner Juan of Never Gonna Give You Up Rick Rolled?
That is correct, yeah.
How you doing tonight, Juan?
I am doing fantastic. How about yourself?
I am doing great. I have my tie over my t-shirt, so you can never complain about that. So we're gonna go ahead and start off. Last week, you are coming off a loss with from Team Leave Britney Alone, 538 to 350 points. Can you tell us, give us a little insight on what happened there?
Yeah, I would say it was due to my lack of responsibility of switching up the team, putting the commitment that I need to put in. But luckily, I was taught how to actually do that, so I should be seeing a difference in the upcoming weeks. Should not be repeating that anymore.
Glad to hear that. You did leave, of course, back on Tuesday close to 100 fantasy points just on Tuesday night alone. So hopefully that insight can get you a win in this upcoming week against Team Basket No Balls. Both of you, of course, being 1-3. Can you say what's going to be different this week for you against Team Basket No Balls? You there, Juan?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I said, can you speak to us a little bit on how you're going to make things better here against Team Basket No Balls in this upcoming matchup?
Well, I will be assuming is that with the new players that we picked up, and what I've dropped out, and hopefully replacing, it should be giving me a better score for the upcoming week. Or match, I mean.
Right. Alright, anything else you'd like to say, Juan?
Well, hopefully I do not lose anymore and I get some dubs.
Great to hear. Thanks again for the call-in, Juan. Hope to hear from you again soon.
Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
Yep, have a good night.
Thank you.
That, of course, was team owner Juan of Never Give You Up Rick Rolled, a first-time caller here, which is great to see. Some of the GMs coming out and giving calls. So I think with that, we're going to call it a night, unless anyone has one last joke they'd like to say.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's who?
Alzheimer's who?
It's funnier the second.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Oh God.
Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's who?
Knock knock.
All right, so we're done there. Everybody have a good
Who's
night.
there?
Peace
Wait,
out.
I have one more joke.
Alzheimer's.
I have
Yes,
one more
Mike.
joke.
Yes, Mike.
When is a door not a door? A door?
When it's a jar.
What?
Yeah, that's correct.
When is a door not a door? When it's a door. Thank you, everybody. This has gone absolutely terribly. Have a great night. Bye-bye now.